How's it going, guys? My name is Jimmy Champagne, and today we're talking about Final Destination because it's finally coming back. I was walking the CES show floor earlier this week and I saw that Final Destination was trending on Twitter. My heart kind of skipped a beat immediately, but then I was like, well, this is probably something related to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate because that game can't manage to stay out of the news for more than like 3 hours. But then I clicked on it and I realized that, yeah, Bloody Disgusting wrote up an article that says Final Destination is coming back. New Line Cinema is one of the biggest names in horror right now, and unlike Blumhouse, they go for bigger budgets. They have stuff like the Conjuring universe, which they're milking as much as they can before it stops making money. They also have A Nightmare on Elm Street in their pocket, and I guess they thought they could fit Final Destination 6 into their pretty packed production schedule for the next few years. There's no title yet because the movie's so early in development, but I would bet money that it's not going to be called Final Destination 6 just because the last one came out in 2011. But I don't think it's a straight remake because New Line is calling it a reimagining, which screams reboot to me. I do think though that it's safe to guess the plot will involve a character at the beginning of the movie seeing all of his friends die in order leading up to him. Then he'll wake up and be like, holy shit, I gotta save my friends, and Death will be upset that it's been cheated once again and kill them in more horrific ways than originally planned because it's pissed off now. Two writers have already been assigned to this script named Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton. They're a writing team you've probably heard of or at least seen movies they've written because they wrote Saw 4, 5, 6, 7, My Bloody Valentine 3D, and Piranha 3D. I'm not sure if they wrote the whole movie on those last two, but they were at least involved in writing those two movies. They're also writing Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which comes out this year, and it's being produced by Guillermo del Toro. Now, their pedigree isn't incredible, it's okay, I would say, but they are good at making these tentpole horror movies that come out every Halloween, and they kind of need to meet a deadline. And I will say that Saw, while it is crazy and totally batshit by the end of it, they at least kept the story followable and kind of competent, and having a movie like that being written by them before kind of works well with Final Destination. Saw and Final Destination are really similar franchises in my mind. Now, knowing this is probably going to be a reboot, that's totally fine with me. If there's one thing Final Destination was never really known for, it was an interconnected story that wove all these movies together, except for 1 and 5 because 5 ends with the beginning of 1, which was really clever. But as long as they make sure they keep those practical kills in the movie that they didn't really have as the series went on, and make sure that we get some new, inventive, and brutal kills in this movie, I think everyone, myself included, will be totally fine with whatever they come up with. Because honestly, the ball's in their court. They really do have a good opportunity to bring this franchise back. One name that is missing here that I really want to see be added to the list is Tony Todd. He plays a coroner in the Final Destination franchise. He's not in every movie physically, but at least he's included in every single one. And he's a really cool and creepy character that basically explains to the kids why death is coming after them. It's weird timing, but Bloody Disgusting actually just interviewed Tony Todd for the Hellfest home video release, and they asked him why the series stopped after 5. Because if you look at the box office returns for Final Destination, 5 was the second most profitable one, and they all made their money back. So it's weird that the franchise just sort of stopped. He basically boiled it down to the fact that with each movie in the Final Destination franchise, the kills got bigger and bigger and more expensive to make. And while every movie in the franchise was profitable, that margin kept shrinking on these movies. So obviously, when they can make a movie like Annabelle Creation, which is a doll in a house, they'll get a much bigger return on that because those movies cost far less to make. The other person I'd really like to see on this movie in the future is Jeffrey Reddick, because he's the guy who came up with Final Destination in the first place, and he's been beating the drum for years and keeping the dream alive. So honestly, making a new one without him just doesn't really seem right to me. Coincidentally, he has a movie called The Final Wish coming out on January 24th, and it's about a group of teens who find out what happens when they make one too many wishes from a demon. So obviously, it is a lot like Final Destination, and of course, Tony Todd is involved in that, and there's real franchise potential there, so if he's not involved with this Final Destination reboot, at least he'll potentially have that down the line. There are a few places where this could go wrong though. The first one being that New Line is way more interested in making a ton of money quick than actually making a good movie. You'd think those things would go hand in hand, but we live in a world where Blade Runner 2049 was a flop and The Nun was a huge commercial success. So when you think about it that way, it really puts things into perspective. I do like that the writers have primarily written horror movies, but most of the ones they've written are annualized movies that are basically coming out to capitalize on a craze. It makes me think that New Line is seeing this horror bubble where people are spending money on horror movies more than ever before, and they just want to get something out so they can cash in on it. It's kind of what they're doing with the Conjuring universe, where any monster that shows up for more than 2 frames gets their own movie trilogy, which is insane. But that being said, I think it's time they brought back Final Destination. I have 2 big fears in my life right now. The first one is flying, and the second one is driving behind open back trucks, and both of them are entirely attributed to this franchise. And I think it's time they scared a whole new generation. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this movie down in the comments below, and subscribe subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.